All right. And we'll get this up, share that, and now we'll slide from here. Okay, just a postscript. Last week I mentioned this essay in the Atlantic, the end of reading, and I've just been thinking more about it and hearing other stuff about it. And when you go and you see a movie that you already read the book, um, and inevitably somebody will say it's not as good as the book or it's better than the book, but it's different than the book. And the point is made that when you read, you do a lot of work. You form the images of the book. And when you see them concretely on the screen, sometimes it's disappointing. It's never as good as what you imagined. Um, so, and those of us with grandkids, the grandkids prefer the video. It's hard to get them to read something when they know it's available on video. The other thing about reading, I go back to Ken Burns' American Revolution, and I just remember being struck at how literate the colonialists were. That things have really changed in the last 250 years in terms of the literacy of obvious people, just normal people writing letters. Uh, the other contrary thought was, wait a minute, as we read less, is our brain getting better with other things? That struck me as optimistic, but it may be that spatial reasoning is getting better as our literacy fails. Anyway, just a few thoughts. Okay, Anthony and Cleopatra. Here's where it's playing Shakespeare in the Park, all the parks around the Bay Area, and we hope there's a chance that it'll be in Orinda, where Cal Shakes used to be. Jeremy knows they've been in discussion, but there's nothing concrete as yet. But I sure hope it comes to the East Bay. And this is our son Jeremy, because let me tell you, Cleopatra really takes him to school. It's they both lose out in the end, but and Anthony's not the only one. She takes Julius Caesar by storm. So that's in Act One. She's quite a woman, and that's why I thought I'd devote a day to her. Um, this Shakespeare in the Park's been going on for quite a while, all the way back to 1983. Here are some selected Shakespeare plays. Um, and here's an article about history's ultimate power couple. Boy, oh boy, were they. Um, so Cleopatra, just breaking that word apart, it basically means father-loving goddess, Patra, father-loving. And that's in the Greek dialect used in Egypt. This is a sculpture, and it's kind of displays something I didn't know, the royal diadem, which was really a cloth. Cloth. Um, and it was only later that hard metal or crowns were added, at least in Egypt. Um, the the history of Cleopatra's Ptolemy dynasty, it goes all the way back to Alexander the Great. Uh, he died 323 BC at the age of 33 after capturing the whole known world in just 12 years. And this is a bust of him that's now in the Brooklyn Museum. Uh, and you can tell he's considered a god. And, and by the way, so is uh, Cleopatra, and so is at various points Julius Caesar. And for sure, his nephew, Augustus Caesar, his adopted son as well, was considered a god. Um, so why could Macedonia conquer? Uh, and it was one military innovation, the phalanx, where they stood close together with their shields up and worked in unison, which was a real innovation for the day. It's a famous mosaic of Alexander. Um, and so, yeah, a lot of these prominent nobility, they were considered gods. And so after Alexander died, there was a god that was invented to embody him, Serapis, which was part Egyptian, part Greek, um, and everything in between. Certainly, all along the trail that he had conquered was this god Serapis. Um, and the Ptolemaic Dynasty used that intentionally to try to unify their kingdoms. Cleopatra claimed to be a manifestation of Isis, the ancient Egyptian goddess who partnered with Osiris. Um, and uh, in time, uh, Serapis replaced Osiris alongside of Isis. So Serapis would have been uh, Cleopatra's mate. Um, and what did he conquer? Well, here it is, the prince, much too small, but he takes off in Macedonia and comes down through Egypt, over through Levant, and he takes a trip out into the Egyptian desert to pay homage to an ancient god that was housed there. And then off he goes, all across, through the Levant. I won't try to do every stop along the way, but he goes through uh, uh, Persia uh, uh, twice, uh, going all the way out, circling around. He makes it all the way to the Indus River, um, where he meets a Jain holy man. This is his last stop. and he persuades the Jain holy man to come with him. He took an inventory of all the religions in every stop of the way and talked with the philosopher. He had been himself had been schooled by Aristotle, um, and he persuades the Jain to come back with him. Well, Jains are so holy um, that they will not kill an ant. All life is sacred. And so, uh, uh, and he wears minimal clothes because you have to somehow harm animals if you make clothes. Um, so he says, you got to come back with me. Uh, uh, I'll introduce you to all the Greek philosophers. Um, and the Jain uh, says, okay, but nobody understands what lies to the west, which is the Persian plateau. And the Jain can't survive. And rather than running back or realizing, he just elects to die because that was his value system. I don't know if you read the Philip Roth book, American Pastoral, but one of the young people in the book becomes a weather person, a weatherman that blew up things over Vietnam,
Mm.
and
Right.
the we can hear somebody. Um, uh, and after she decides she doesn't want to be a weatherman anymore, she decides to become a Jane. And so you learn all of an American
Yeah.
pastoral. Philip Roth schools us in being a Jane. Um, okay, so you can see the Khyber Pass here. Uh, and so Alexander, he's drinking quite heavily this on this 12-year trip, and by the time he gets here, when he's 33, he dies of alcoholism. Um, and I think there are other theories like being poisoned, but I think that's the last time I looked, the dominant theory. So he died of alcoholism. Um, and this is important because Cleopatra figures that she's in the same lineage as this Ptolemy. Uh, so one of his generals is Ptolemy. And so the first ruler once they get back, he divides his kingdom into threes, and the central part is Egypt, the Ptolemaic kingdom. And she uh, can literally, legitimately trace herself back to Alexander the First. Um, of course, among his many miracles is solving the Gordian knot, because nobody can untie this knot. And he figures,
Yeah.
I don't have to. All I have to do is take my sword and cut it in two. Thus, he gives us a metaphor um, going forward. Parts of the trip are glorious, like entering Babylon. Apparently, he was received as a true conquering hero. Other parts are challenging, and there's this easily defended pass, and you can see why, called the Persian uh, Gate. And it was the Persians really that he was displacing. They were in control in most places. and this is where the Persian gate was. Um, so he, upon his death, everything falls apart. Uh, at least it splits into three. In Egypt, where uh, Cleopatra is, becomes the Ptolemaic Empire, which is mostly Egypt and the Levant. But another general was named Seleucus, and so you have um, a another part of another associated empire. Uh, and somebody's coming in here. Um, and uh, so this is the Ptolemaic Egypt in detail, which is uh, upper and lower Nile. And you find out that there is a lot of rivalry, and in particular, sibling rivalry. And we'll talk about how they tried to get rid of that by letting brothers and sisters uh, get married. That didn't work. It was they were still dysfunctional, uh, even in incest. A lot of power grabbing, and you're going to see a result of it by one of Cleopatra's sisters. Um, so here is the Ptolemaic dynasty from Alexander all the way down to Cleopatra. Um, Obviously, I'm not going to go through that. Um, about halfway through that dynasty, you have a famous queen, and she was. You can see that there's a lot of symbols of trade. Um, the capital of Ptolemaic Egypt becomes Alexandria, logically enough. And given where Alexandria is at the crossroads of three continents, and Alexander's history of binding together the known world, it's not surprising that Alexandria was indeed a commercial hub. So you see a ship's prow, you see a history of naval prowess. Um, uh, why? To trading goods, carrying them across the Mediterranean. Um, and this Queen Berenice, watch out, there's going to be another Queen Berenice, one of Cleopatra's sisters. And speaking about Greek um, trading prowess, in our lifetime, obviously, Aristotle Onassis was a Greek trader. And I say Greek because remember, Cleopatra was Greek by lineage. We think of her as the Queen of Egypt, but the Ptolemies are actually Greek, just as Alexander was Greek. Um, and here's a more detailed list that I'm not going to burden you with. And all on the list, there are a lot of Ptolemies and there are a lot of Cleopatras. So the naming system was not imaginative in any way, shape, or form. Um, and here's the Cleopatra we're talking about. And who's she married to? Well, she's a consort of Julius Caesar. she's also married two of her brothers. So she's got a lot of marriages to her name. And here is her sister, Berenice. And what happens is her father told me the 11th. Um, he no, told me the 12th. I got to keep things right here. He, he's not a very good budgeteer. He goes over budget, and before you know it, uh, Egypt is in huge debt, mostly to Romans, and he um, is ousted by his own daughter, Berenice the Fourth. So what does he do? He hightails it to Rome. They're the money guys anyway, and he goes to Rome and he appeals to Julius Caesar. Now he takes his daughter with him, Cleopatra. It's Cleopatra the Seventh, by the way, and she's only 11 when they go there, but she's 14 when they leave, and she's reached puberty and made some contacts, let's say. Um, and so, and just to review what went on here, in 1880, her father told me the 11th. He's had a good run for 12 years before he runs out of money. Then Berenice, his daughter, uh, uh, comes in the interval. Um, uh, and then uh, the interval is 3 years. This is mislabeled. And then he gets back on the throne, but he co-ministers Egypt with uh, Cleopatra. And Cleopatra's brother uh, 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 feared her ambition, and he drove her out of Egypt for a while. But then the father dies, and the brother starts bullying Cleopatra, and who intervenes? Caesar. He he got to know her in Rome when they were in exile, and he gets to know her even better at this point. They're together for three years, and she bears him a son in 47 BC. So uh, she's made diplomatic contacts, let's say. Uh, the I asked ChatGPT to brightly highlight brother and sister marriages all throughout the Ptolemaic dynasty family tree. And it started suddenly in 275 BCE. Um, and as I said earlier, Cleopatra married two of her younger brothers. Um, Oops, uh-oh, that's not good. Sorry. Um, and they uh, this was so common, so all of the shaded areas are ChatGPT highlighting brother sister marriages. What's unusual is that there weren't any um, uh, mix-ups with the genetic recessive genes getting together. Now, maybe all of these marriages were just symbolic and not truly conjugal. So that probably is what went on. Um, we remember when we were looking at Ferdinand and Isabella and the Habsburgs coming to Spain, and how there was so much intermarriage throughout Europe with the Habsburgs that you had these distortions of the chin in particular, but also the brain. Became progressively enfeebled because maybe they took cousin birth more seriously than brother sister than the Egyptians took brother sister uh, marriage.
Hey,
Uh,
Johnny.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing is though, I remember that picture of King Tut's uncle, I think it is. I forgot his name, but he had a grossly distorted head. I'm
Yeah,
sure. Remember that?
yeah, I do. I do remember that. And if
I
any of
forgot his
us,
name.
I do, I do too. But I think it was the same Pharaoh that tried to invent a new religion. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right. I'm here just to remind you if you've forgotten the Habsburg prominent jaw. Um, And so here we are, Ptolemaic Egypt, um, and the first Ptolemy, the general Ptolemy, who then gives his name to the whole dynasty, uh, he hijacks Alexander's body and uh, takes it to Alexandria, which was established during Alexander's great adventure. And he creates a mausoleum for Alexander there and turns him into a god who later becomes Serapis. But they can't retain all of the land. And so they lose it to the another of the three generals, Seleucid. And there's a different kingdom in the green swatch 35 years later. Um, so Ptolemy the 13th, the father of Cleopatra the seventh, made it on to the reliefs, the famous reliefs, Dendera. And you'll see another relief at Dendera a little bit later, but this is kind of their museum political history. And uh, so Cleopatra, and we all know how her end comes, and we'll review that in just a second. Um, but she's it. She's the end, the dead end of the Ptolemaic um, uh, dynasty. It all ends with her. Um, this is Cleopatra's father. Uh, he had a ring with his image in it. And as I said before, when he is ousted by his older daughter, Berenice, he goes to Rome to lobby to get his power back, and he takes Cleopatra with him. Um, the Romans help him take back power, and he chops off Berenice's head, and
Wow.
so that's that. Uh, Also on this trip, they meet another Roman general besides Julius Caesar. They meet Mark Antony, who is more in charge of the day-to-day military units. And he's does more of the grunt work to get uh, Cleopatra's father power back. By the way, Mark Antony's 15 years older than Cleopatra, and that will be of interest a little bit later on. Uh, so Egypt was familiar to Rome, just right across the way, a lot of commerce. The breadbasket of the Mediterranean had to be. Um, and so there are some famous mosaics that show the social life of Egyptians on the Nile. This is actually 20 miles outside of Rome. So they were always curious about Egypt and fascinated, as Europeans have been, including Napoleon. And so it helps to understand how the Hellenistic uh, world could appreciate Egypt um, and the day-to-day life. This is
It's
actually situated uh, where the Nile empties into the Mediterranean. Yeah,
yeah. Can you go back to the last slide? It just occurred to me, Cleopatra's father beheads his own daughter, Berenice niece.
yes,
Wow.
yeah. Uh, as one commentator said, uh, or actually he was introduced to saying the Ptolemies, they're the worst kind of soap opera ever, and the expert said, well, it all depends how you look at it. You could also look at it as the best soap opera, certainly the most active. Um, all right, and then this is. More of Roman soldiers kind of relaxing around the Nile. And um, so this is what Cleopatra looked like. Not exactly uh, Elizabeth Taylor, but here it is. They had a way of preserving images. Um, and we experienced this when we were in Egypt. We learned there are a lot of Roman um, statues that have been defaced. And it's not who you might think did it. It was the Coptic Christian zealots uh, that did a lot of the destruction. We kind of know this. We went to a Coptic Christian wedding. It was actually the granddaughter of one of my patients. And uh, uh, we learned a lot about Coptic Christian weddings. Namely, they don't start on time. Try 2 hours uh, late, but they were quite opulent. I'll say that. Um, uh, so you got to remember this and understand that Alexandria was a very intellectual city. And it started with the first Ptolemaic pharaoh. who appreciated and inherited Alexander's intellectual curiosity uh, and started the library from the get-go, a university from the get-go, uh, and, so she carried on that tradition big time. Uh, she also was a linguist. And she was said, in a very different vein, uh, to be the first Ptolemaic emperor. Remember, they're Greek, the first Ptolemaic emperor to speak Egyptian. Uh, and that was the more common style language. And while she was up there in Alexandria, living a very upper caste lifestyle, uh, she made a conscious effort to stay in touch uh, with the people. So far, so good. Um, she This is a coin, and she's described as the younger goddess, one of her adopted titles. So she encouraged people to think of her as Isis, and probably a couple of Greek goddesses as well. Um, so her father, uh, uh, his health started to deteriorate, and he had made her into the co-regent. He obviously trusted her at a tender young age of 17. And then she's in charge. Her brother interferes, as I said earlier, and she persuades Julius Caesar to intervene, as I said earlier. Uh, what you got to understand is how ancient Egypt was, and I found this interesting. Cleopatra was closer in time to the iPhone than she is to the building of the pyramids. So, so from the standpoint of Egyptians, she's a newcomer, a Greek. Um, she uh, Alexandria being a commercial city, uh, for commerce, you need tolerance for it to work well. And there was tolerance for a long time until there wasn't. Um, and in the city, they had a lot of people from the Levant, history of trading from the very beginning of biblical times. So there were a lot of Jews in the Levant, and they were part of the academic culture as well. Um, and so Ptolemy the First made a good choice for soft power because Alexandria lasted a few hundred years until they say Julius Caesar was responsible for burning down the library. I don't know. I haven't researched that. So Cleopatra has an affair with Julius Caesar, and there's a famous visit where she brings Caesar's son to Rome. If you ever saw the movie with Elizabeth Taylor, very high production values. Her as Julius Caesar welcomes his consort to Rome. Quite a bold move, and he recognizes the son Caesarion as his. and scandalized Rome. Interestingly, Julius Caesar had not made any announcement as who his heir was going to be. Um, so the arrival of Caesarion uh, really throws the succession uh, uh, question into uproar. So the this joining of the two bloodlines was really quite controversial, needless to say. Um, and uh, the question is whether that played a role in the assassination. Uh, was it just usurping power, or was it more than that? Power was going to move outside of Rome itself. Um, here, Cleopatra and Caesarion, they make it onto a relief at the Dendera temple, where the history of succession was kept. So this was playing for keeps, um, and you just wonder how the backbenchers at the Roman Senate dealt with this. Um, and it wasn't going to be perfunctory. Cleopatra and Caesar aspired to full unification, one economy, one coinage, uh, uh, probably historical in its ambition. Uh, uh, by the way, Cleopatra could speak 9 languages. So it wasn't just Egyptian that she learned. She learned Ethiopian, Hebrew, uh, Arabic, um, and other more obscure languages like the Parthians. Um, so, uh, uh, yes. So she could communicate with many different diplomats and was a wily uh, uh, politician in geopolitics. Um, and this is a duplicate. Uh, and then come the Ides of March. Um, and she gets a real awakening. Yeah, Caesar's gone, so he was her connection to power, but she thought that Caesar had designated Caesarion to inherit. And what she learns is no, that was what he told her was a lie. He had designated Octavian, his nephew, and she didn't know it, but adopted son, which put him into inheriting the Roman world. So her dream of blending the two cultures, and it was a dream, um, maybe egotistical, but she saw Caesar uh, naming Octavian as total betrayal. Uh, that's a duplicate. Um, there's a movie I'm going to recommend. Um, if you want to get the feel for Alexandria, you want to see this movie Agora with Rachel Weisz. She plays Hypatia, so it's a feminist movie. She's a female mathematician slash astronomer, and she's working on all kinds of theories. Uh, every once in a while, considering that uh, the Earth moves around the sun, which was explosive uh, theory. So it's quite good. Um, what else is besides the library? There's a famous lighthouse, which is considered one of the seven wonders of the world, the lighthouse at Alexandria, uh, which needed it because they had so much ship uh, traffic. Um, so, uh, and this is the temple of Artemis, also known as Diana. That was in Okay, well, the on the coast of Asia Minor, where Mary was thought to have been born, um, uh, and where Mary was thought to be buried. Aiko, help me out. So anyway, the Temple of Artemis was there in Asia Minor. Um, so you can think of um, Alexandria as a university town. Uh, 700,000 scrolls. Uh, we've already talked about the library, uh, private zoo, um, and so Cleopatra successfully navigated her world. She got to know Alexander, her city, quite well, learned how to juggle diplomats, learned how to exploit the Romans for their own benefit, and particular individuals in the sexual realms, both Caesar and Mark Antony. Um, and they had a grand vision of a union between two equal partners. And when uh, Julius Caesar was assassinated, it was envisioned as two equal powers, and maybe that's why he was assassinated. So this is a good place to stop. I'll entertain questions and comments, and we can continue with the ending of this play next week.
Would it be giving away next week's thing if I say what happened to Cleopatra's children and so forth?
No,
Is
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Cleopatra had cesarean by Caesar. She also had three children by Antony. Now, Caesar chose Octavian, his nephew, to be the next ruler, but actually, his real son was with Cleopatra. So he really had the right to the, you know, Roman throne, you might say, Roman Empire, and so Octavian, who was named, did considered Caesarion his biggest threat. He had him killed, but he did not have the other three children of Cleopatra by Mark Antony killed.
Yeah, it's all as we said, a soap opera.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in those times.
Well, anyway, thanks for letting us indulge Jeremy's play. But the history is always fascinated, so it was genuine curiosity, not anything else. I just needed to. Uh, I'd been reading a lot about it, and I just said, "What the heck? Let's just go with it."
John, would you mind, sorry, clarifying the timing of Cleopatra's coupling with Julius Caesar and then her relationship with Mark Antony?
Yeah. So, uh, her father dies in 51 BC, and that's when her brother, one of her younger brothers, so you can't be. I'm sorry, you can't be part of the ruling elite. And remember, Caesar knows her and both her father from when they were hiding out in Rome when he got deposed. Now he got deposed in uh, 58, and
BC.
yeah, BC, and they lived in Rome for 3 or 4 years. Um, and so he's restored to the uh, throne, and then uh, he dies in 51. And somewhere in 48 is when Julius Caesar uh, notices that she needs his help. Um, and I think it's 47 that Caesarion is born.
Yeah,
Yeah, so his political intervention
thank you.
and conjugal intervention come together as these things do. Um, and so then they ruled together. When does she become his uh, consort? I think she visits Rome with Caesarion somewhere around 45. And, it
Well,
fits.
not cesarean. Uh,
Yeah,
cesarean's not born.
I think Caesarian's born at roughly the same time. I think it's 46, 47.
7.
Yeah. And so, um, and then uh, Roman society is scandalized, and Caesar is assassinated in 44. So that's a rough timeline.
I would just add that the real history of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar is in Handel's opera, 1724, one of the Baroque masterpieces. All the history is right there.
Well, really?
Yeah,
Handles.
Handel, yeah.
Don't believe it.
No, that's very interesting. There's a lot of history you've told us about that is synopsized in opera.
So
Right.
you reviewed her relationship with Julius Caesar. When, with respect to that, did she establish one with Mark Antony?
Well, remember she met Mark Antony because he helped put her father back on the throne. So Caesar's assassinated in 44. All hell breaks loose, and they kind of get together a little bit around 40, but things really start heating up at 38 BC.
Okay, thank you. And she
Yeah,
has three children by Mark Anthony.
yes.
And
And
I would imagine that was really passionate because Julius Caesar was old. The two brothers that she married were younger than her. So, what was there to those relationships?
yeah, yeah,
John,
yes.
I have a question. Is Jeremy's play going to be video that you can show at some point?
I don't know.
They usually tape these Shakespeare in the Parks, or just
Okay,
have
well,
them in the archive.
we'll get the question is who gets access, but
Right,
if Anthony can't get it, nobody can.
that's right. And if Anthony's can't get it, Anthony's father can get it.
Highly unlikely.
Okay. All right, so part two next week.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
John.
John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
You bet.
Hey, Dad, do you want to stay on and we can chat?
Sure.
Yeah. So
Oh,
the question,
well,
the question
I'm
for
gonna mute.
the question for your son is, are they going to film it?
I think they'll film it. Whether what the access is, I don't know. But we'll ask.
I'm the other son. I'm not that son.
Oh, that you're not that son. Okay, excuse me. Sorry.
Although that son did show a talent as an actor. I'll say that. Yeah, I'll remind you later.
All right.
All
I'm going
right.
to be gone the next 2 weeks, John.
Up to Ashland?
Well, no, the family reunion this year is in Sun River, south of Bend,
Okay.
and I'll be in Oregon for 2 weeks. So, yeah, again,
I hope the fires are out.
I know there's a big one couple of big ones north of Bend, and one down near Medford, and one up in the northeast. I mean, there are fires all over.
I heard that